Hey there, happy No Nonsense November, day 20, change of state, change your state. Now, I'm not talking about moving to a different state or moving where you live. I'm talking about, of course, our mental state, our physical state, our emotions, our energy, the way we're being, the way we're showing up in the world. Now, we all remember chemistry class and that there's, in nature, states are changing all the time, right? The best example that I can think of ever is water. And I was teaching my granddaughter about this the other day. Water, of course, when it's in its gaseous form, is steam rising out of the pasta or the macaroni and cheese pasta that's cooking. Liquid, it's water right out of the tap, right? Liquid water, we all know what that is. And as a solid, it's ice. So that's, to me, the easiest one that we can look at. And based on the temperature that H2O, water, experiences, will determine whether it is ice at very low temperature, water, usually around room temperature, and steam when it boils, right? The same thing works with us and our emotions and our feelings and our amount of energy. Energy changes in us based on the temperature that we're feeling, just like it works on water. Why? Well, 97% of our bodies are made up of water, so it only makes sense that we respond differently based on what's going on around us. When we're super duper hot, we tend to perspire or sweat, right? So the water goes from being a gas within our body, traveling through our veins, to being a liquid that pours out of our armpits and other places on our bodies when we're hot. Our foreheads, I tend to get sweaty on my forehead even when I'm just going for a little walk outdoors. No matter how cold it is, I find that I can actually cause myself to sweat. And then, of course, in the cold temperatures when I'm out walking and I'm perspiring, that will turn to ice. I'll never forget, I was running one time. I used to run when I was younger, when I could run. Now I don't run unless a bear is chasing me. Long story. But I used to run, and I would run in the winter, and I would go running, and I would get like icicles on my nose and on my eyelashes and on my eyebrows because I would be breathing, and the expiration of gaseous water, right, in the form of gas and steam would, accumulate on my face, and then it would freeze in the colder temperature. So we all have experienced actual physical changes, right? Well, how do we change our state, change our mood, create a culture of allowing change within us instead of just reacting to change? A lot of times we think we have to do something or make change happen, but I think we want to be more like nature and just allow change to be a part of our natural state, our natural well-being. Because guess what? Things are changing all the time. Things outside of us, things within us. Our body is different. What do they say? Every 7 years, all the cells in your body change over. Yet our minds keep us thinking that we're the same. No matter what happens, we tend to be within a certain realm of behavior or state or mood or, positivity or negativity based on what we allow ourselves to feel. Now, I don't know if this is a popular belief or not, but our reality and what's real to us is created by us all the time. So we might experience something on one day that upsets us and makes us have a negative mood, and then we might experience the exact same thing another day, and it has absolutely no effect or a positive effect on us. So how do we control this? How do we choose to allow and control and manage the way we feel in certain situations, or create the way we want to feel in certain situations so that we are controlling and managing our own lives, not letting what happens in the world or what happens around us control us? Oftentimes we're led by our emotions, and we can be led somewhere, but we don't have to stay there, right? If we're thinking about the past or dwelling on the past or worried about something in the future, we can change that in an instant. Well, how do you change that? How do you change how you're thinking and how you're feeling about something in an instant so you can change how you're experiencing your life, how you're perceiving things? Well, there's, of course, a process for that, because there's a process for everything. I think I studied first about state changes from Tony Robbins, because one of the things that he started doing early in his career was NLP, neuro-linguistic programming, and helping people change their state immediately, because he knew that if you change someone's state, then they could change everything. You change your state, you change their thinking, you change their beliefs, you change their actions, and everything changes from there. So one of the fastest, easiest ways, of course, to change our state is to change our body, change our physiology. If we're feeling sad and glum and lonely, there's a way that we do that. If we're feeling depressed, there's a ritual or a sequence of events that we go through in order to support the feeling of depression or low energy. Well, if there's one to create low energy or depression, there's obviously one to create high energy and excitement. So it's a matter of changing our body. We can change our body, and that will automatically change our mind, change our emotions, and change the way we respond and react to things. So we can change our body. We can breathe differently. We can stand up straight. We can sit up straight. We can do funny things outside of ourselves, like use funny filters to boost our confidence or our energy level. We can smile. We can make eye contact. We can physically do something to make us feel better. Again, I have a power move. So if I'm low energy and I need to get my energy up, I actually developed this when I was on my walks. I would go, and I still do, go on a long walk almost every day since 2010 in my cardiac arrest. I go on a walk, and sometimes during that walk, I get to a big hill and I'm like, oh my God, this hill's super big. I don't want to go up it. And so I created a little power move that instantly gives me a boost in energy and allows me to have more energy to go ahead and tackle that hill and finish my walk. So physical actions are very, very powerful. We already talked about things like having gratitude stones or reminders that can trigger positive feelings and feelings of gratitude or happiness or love or joy that will help us. So I often have little physical tokens or things that I carry with me to boost my energy. I actually have a gratitude stone in the pocket of just about every coat or jacket that I wear, in my backpack, in my purse, because I know that if something happens that tips me over a little bit, all I have to do is see or touch that rock or that stone, and it instantly helps me get a change of state and change how I'm feeling about the situation. Or it at least reminds me to think about it consciously, take a deep breath, and respond in a way that I choose to, not just automatically respond. So the first step of the process is, of course, do something different, right? Look for a way that you can physically change your body. The quickest thing, you can listen to music that's uplifting. You can, do all kinds of things that we're going to talk about in the rest of the process. The second thing you can do is talk about it. You can talk about what's going on with you that you like or don't like in order to change your state. You can journal about it, right? You can write it down. So you can either talk to somebody about it or call somebody, phone a friend, or write it down, write it out. Sometimes when we're off, all we need to do is sit down and write a couple of words down, and then that allows us to take the opportunity to decide, how do I want to be? How do I want to respond? How do I want to show up in the world? Then we can try to empty our mind for 1 minute. Now, this is an interesting exercise. It's sort of a meditative exercise, but you try to not think about anything for 1 minute. Now, it's amazing how hard it is to not think about anything for 1 minute. I recommend that you try it, but it definitely interrupts what you're doing. And what we're looking for when we want to change a state is a pattern interrupt, right? We experience something, we automatically run a pattern. Somebody says something or does something that triggers us or cues us or prompts us, and we automatically run a pattern or a way of behaving or a response to that. I used to have a huge frustration pattern, and whenever anything wasn't the way I thought it should be, I ran this ridiculous frustration pattern, and I would work myself up into a total tizzy over usually nothing. That was the most embarrassing thing. It was usually something insignificant or something I was just blowing out of proportion that didn't have anything to do with anything. So that was the pattern I would run, and I needed to create a pattern interrupt so that whenever I feel frustration, it means something different to me now than it did back then. Back then it meant something's wrong, it's the end of the world. Now it just means, oh, something's changed. How do I need to respond to that now? So try to empty your mind for a minute. That's a great pattern interrupt. Fourth, we can change the focus of what we're thinking about. We can change what our brain is focusing on and thinking about. I will tell you right now, I've been doing this a lot with the current political environment in the United States. I change what I focus on. If somebody brings it up, I change the subject. If I don't watch media, I've been trying to stay off social media. Once in a while I get sucked in and I kick myself every time I do, but that's the thing that we can do. We can change the focus of our thoughts. So now whenever politics comes up, I've got like a handful of different subjects that I will automatically steer the conversation to, so that I don't have to listen to a lecture on why my politics are wrong, and I don't feel the need to justify how I feel about different things to anyone. We can also, step 5, be creative. We can find creative ways to change our state. We can do something different. We can learn a new skill. We can try something out that we've never tried before. We can try a different perspective, looking at things differently than we've ever looked at them before. We can knock our ducks in a row down and then rearrange them just for the fun of it to change our state. So get creative with it. Here's the thing, with all these tools, you have to test them out on yourself. You have to be your own best science experiment and try and figure out what exactly works for you. The next step is one that I use all the time. It's take a walk. If I'm working on a project or if I'm working on something and I find that my energy just drains out of me and I just don't want to do it or I don't feel like working on it right now, I will get up out of my chair or get up out of wherever I am and I will go outside. And even if it's just for 10 seconds or 30 seconds, I'll let the sun shine on my face, I'll take a couple of deep breaths, and I'll come back at it with a fresh mind and a totally different perspective and change of state. And finally is one that we use for everything. We can list everything worthwhile in our life, everything that is working in our life, everything that we're grateful for, everything that is perfect now and great now. And before you say nothing, if you're breathing, that is great. If you're alive, that is awesome. Even if you're, like I used to be, in massive chronic pain and barely could move, I was still grateful that I could still wake up and still be alive and that I could still move forward in my life every single day. So the whole purpose of changing our state is to make sure that we're creating the life that we want. And we do that by acting like nature, allowing the changes that are ever happening in our life and rolling and going with them and setting things up for us to win, versus thinking that we have to make things happen or make changes. If I say I have to make a change, that means I have to physically do some work or do something to have that change happen. But the truth is, change is happening all around us all the time. And if we change our perspective and the way we view change and we embrace it by allowing it and realizing it's just an integral part of our experience here on the planet and in our life, it allows us to look at mistakes and challenges and changes as stepping stones, and failure becomes feedback to make us better. It's not something that we fear. And when we don't fear feedback, when we don't fear change, we eliminate it, creativity is unleashed and we can create whatever it is we want in our life. We can create our own reality. We can make things the way we want them to be. I would love to know your experience with changing your state. Do you have a special way that you like to use to change your state? I will wear different colors. I wear different colors or bright colors. My corporate upbringing was that you always wore navy blue. It was navy blue, a white shirt, and once in a while you could wear a red scarf or a red tie. And then you could also, for certain things, you could wear black, but it was navy blue and black. That was my first corporate job expectation of how we dressed and what we did and how we performed and showed up as a leader in that organization. And I learned after that job that I love rainbow colors. I love all the colors with the exception of purple, but it's my granddaughter's favorite now, so I'm learning to love purple. But I actually love picking my colors based on the mood that I'm in or the mood I want to be in. It's so easy to be in a gray mood when I wake up and just put on a bright colored shirt and feel so much better. So look for things that make you feel more positive and give you more energy and make you feel more creative and happy and joyful and all the other feelings and things that you want in your life. All right, share in the comments below any examples or any experience you have with changing your state, what works for you, so that we can learn from one another. And I'll be with you tomorrow with another tool in our No Nonsense November. Have an absolutely amazing day. It's actually World Children's Day, so embrace or celebrate. Can't hug because it's COVID. Celebrate the children in your life. Have an awesome day. I'll be with you tomorrow. Bye. With no nonsense, of course.